Hello, and welcome everyone to episode 65 of Video Game Club. As always, I am your host, Tyler, and I have with me today Mr. Mumbo Mountain, Austin.
Hello.
Hello. And it would not be a Video Game Club episode without our very own Tootie that we protect at all costs,
Oh,
Mox.
thank you. Hello.
Hello, Mox. Mox, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Austin, you doing good over there?
Oh, I'm surviving.
Yeah, surviving. That's good. What have you been playing, Austin, besides Banjo-Kazooie, of course?
So I was playing God of War, the 2018 reboot, and I played 9 hours into that, and then I decided I did not want to play another 12 hours of that, so I stopped.
Why not? I don't know. I really don't know anything about that game other than it's quite violent and then it's Greek history, mythology stuff.
It was fine. It was fine. But it was not
fine.
enticing enough to get me to spend that amount of time on it.
Don't people really like this game?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, it was okay. It was not a bad game. It was just I've got with limited time. I did not want to spend more time on that, so I gave it up. And then I started up Record of Lodos War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth, and I finished that. And that was a wonderful little Metroidvania. It was like 3 or 4 hours long. That's from Team Ladybug, the people who did Toho Luna Nights, and yeah, I had a great time with that. And we did 100% of the map. It was great game.
Nice.
I have resumed Freedom Planet 2 and Yakuza 6, trying to muscle through there, and you and I have almost finished up Halo Infinite, the campaign.
We are very close. It feels, and not only are we close, we've been doing things 100%, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mox, what about you? What have you been playing?
I never finished Murder by Numbers, and I picked it up again to finish it. And there are hacking sequences, which are basically a 5x5, nonogram or Picross grid, and you have to do them really fast. And it's like the difficulty of it is how much time you have to do 5, and it's 5x5. And there was a point where you're hacking into, I don't know, some military server or whatever. So then it was couched as like a very hard hacking sequence for Scout. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. I couldn't do it. It requires so much dexterity to go and tap. It's switch. You tap it with the control stick. I don't know if you can use the touch screen. But I was like, what if I can't do this? And I was Googling it to see, there's a workaround. There must be. No. You just have to do it. And so what I did was I just did it. I just kept doing it over and over and over again. I did these 5 puzzles and it took, 10 minutes. It was, the biggest workout I've had in a while.
You could say that you aced that one. It's like your Neon White of puzzle games.
Well, yeah. Ace makes it seem like I did a good job, where I think I did a bad job. But I appreciate your kind words. It's still a good game.
I feel like Picross was just made for the DS touchscreen,
It is so
anytime I try to play it on anything else, I'm like, no, this is not, like, this is a compromised experience.
Well, and I found my DS, again, because we've been playing a little bit of Triforce Heroes, and I have on it Pokemon Picross, and I've been playing that too. Mm-hmm. But, that was, I couldn't talk about 2 Picross games, but yeah, I've been doing that too.
And then this on Friday, you talked with me about the Pict lines or whatever. What's it called?
Pixel lines. There's a second
lines.
one that's coming out. I'm so excited. I played 100% of the first one. It's amazing. Every puzzle. Well, I didn't do the smaller puzzles because they get boring. I did all the larger puzzles that interested me, and then all the story puzzles. I highly recommend it. It's a great way to do Picross ish kind of puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
What's that on?
Switch. It works really well with the touchscreen because you're connecting lines. The 2 ends of the line are somewhere, and if it's 11 spaces apart that the line has to be, then there's 11 spaces in some fashion between the 2 lines that you have to connect. And like, as you go faster, you can just tell how long a line is just by sight only. It's like a skill you just like have to learn, and you do learn it, and it's amazing.
It looks really cool. I
love it.
I have been working on 100% playthrough of Amori, and I am now the Pet Rock Paper Scissors champion, which feels really good. Thank you.
What are you playing it on?
On Xbox.
Oh.
I'm going for all the badges too, even though I don't really like. They're not all like tied to achievements on the Xbox version, but I just want to get them all. And yeah, there's a lot of things that I missed in that game whenever we played it. Like, for example, you can have little which I'm sure you guys know this, but you can do like part-time jobs around the city, and so I did all those. I delivered the pizzas or did the organization and the little the hardware store, and I did the tutoring that you do and stuff like that. So it was
the tutoring. You have to get all of those like math questions right.
Yep,
One of them I did have to pull out paper for.
I did. I also did have to pull out paper. Also, I played Marvel's Midnight Suns. There was like a trial out. I played that, and my conclusion was that the combat is really fun, but I wasn't a big fan of the relationship building stuff that they have in the game. So I don't know. I think I would, if I got it at a discount or like it was in a bundle or something, I think I would play through it. But it's hard for me to pay $60 for that game because I just wasn't a big fan of that specific part. So
now you also played some of the demo of Theatrhythm.
I did.
What did you think of that?
I did with you, and that was really fun. I really liked it. It got a lot hard. Like whenever we upped the difficulty, I was like, oh, because initially it was kind of boring. Like I was like, oh, this is kind of easy, and then when we upped the difficulty, I was like, oh, okay, this is like legit difficult. It was fun. I think I've been thinking about it, so we'll see if I pick it up. But yeah, that was nice.
I definitely think it's easy. Like it's funner to play for people who have played multiple Final Fantasies. If you played just one or an ancillary Square Enix title, it's less fun.
Yeah, I've played a good handful, so I'm excited to look into it more. And then I've been slowly grinding away on Neon White, trying to get ace medals and find the gifts and stuff. Wow. And I'm on the levels where the gifts are just stupid. The skyscraper levels, they're just dumb. But
Godspeed to you.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys watch the speed run? You got to watch the speed run from UGDQ.
I will once I beat it. Once I 100%, I will. Now, before we get started, just as a reminder, this is, in fact, Video Game Club, the one and only, the original. None of those things are true. But usually every 2 weeks, we discuss a game voted on by our wonderful friends in the Bombchu Discord and discuss that game right here on twitch.tv/BombchuTV. If you can't catch us live, don't worry. You can find us on YouTube, podcasts, all those things. And if you appreciate what you're hearing, please consider subscribing, rating, commenting, and coming to the Discord and making a nomination, because the next game that we're going to play after this came from nominations from listeners and viewers like you. Now.
I heard the PBS jingle, little noise that plays. Okay. Keep going. So
the nominations for this episode were Banjo-Kazooie, Zero Escape, Virtue's Last Reward, and Axiom Verge 2. And just as a reminder, these were nominated. The theme around the nominations were prequels and sequels.
To games that we've played on.
To games that we've played on Video Game Club already. Yeah. So Banjo-Kazooie was the winner. So Banjo-Kazooie, a 3D platformer developed by Rare. Everyone knows about Rare, right?
Yes, everyone should.
What is your favorite Rare game, Mox? Do you have one?
Well, I would have to say Banjo-Tooie.
Tooie.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Okay. Tooie. And do you still stand by that after playing Banjo-Kazooie?
Yes, we'll get into it.
Okay. Austin, do you have a favorite Rare game? And why is it Cameo?
What?
Isn't GoldenEye theirs?
Yep.
GoldenEye's theirs.
That's what I was expecting you to say.
Sea of Thieves.
The Donkey Kong Country trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Battletoads.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot. Oh, Viva Pinata. Oh, that's a close one.
That's my favorite.
I love Pinata.
I love the first one.
it might have to be the Donkey Kong Country trilogy.
Yeah, those are good games. Very good. Very good games. My favorite is definitely Viva Pinata.
The music in that is amazing.
It is, and the game is really fun. It doesn't mean it's the best game. I'm not saying it's the best game that they've made, but it is a game that I have a lot of great memories with playing with my younger brother, and I don't know, it was just a really good time, and I really like it a lot.
I have a sealed copy of that game because I've never played it.
Oh my gosh,
Ooh.
I've never played it either, but I've watched videos of it, and I have the soundtrack. I listen to it.
It's great.
The romance dance songs, I've used several of them as my ringtones across the years.
The mini games in them are really fun too. The romance mini games, they're really fun.
Well, you lent me your Xbox.
I did.
How do I play Viva Pinata on it? That's what I would like now.
It's yeah, you should be able to find it in the store,
Okay.
and it's
We'll have to
totally
do it.
backwards compatible and everything. Oh yeah,
Oh, amazing.
Was
I
that
guess
So-
that's one thing that's nice about Xbox.
yeah. Viva Pinata is great. So they released their first game in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, and the game they're working on now. Does anybody remember what it's called?
No.
I can't remember.
Had I think one trailer so far. It's called Everwild.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, there's almost nothing known about it really.
Yeah.
They just showed a trailer. I did listen to a podcast recently about Rare and how they're headquartered in like the middle of nowhere in England. And when Nintendo would go visit, it was like a very, very special occasion. Also, they were using like so much electricity for their little neighborhood that it was like that the power company like came out one day and was like, what are you guys doing here? Because we've noticed like you guys are using a lot of electricity. This game was published by Nintendo, and it was released June 29th, 1998 in North America, and July 17th, 1998 in Europe. I don't think it was ever released in Japan.
What? They're missing out. What a shame.
From what I saw, yeah. So 1998. We
Oh
didn't
my
have
goodness.
any hardware in North America, but in Japan they had the Game Boy Light and the Dreamcast. We did see some pretty dang good games. Ocarina of Time, Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, Grim Fandango, the original StarCraft.
Oh, Grim Fandango.
Oh yeah, Baldur's Gate, Xenogears, Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy Color, one that's dear to my heart, and many more, including one game that we've played already.
1998. That would have been.
See if I can
probably
hum
something in
some
64.
music.
Well, it wasn't Psychonauts. That was later.
No, that was
No,
way
no,
later.
no.
Yeah.
Mystical Ninja,
Oh my goodness.
starring Goemon.
Oh.
Also, today is February 19th,
Uh-huh.
and there was a game that we've played for Video Game Club that came out on February 19th. Any guesses?
No.
What?
Give us the year.
I don't remember, but it was Metal Gear Rising.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, does that mean the anniversary stream is happening today?
Is there an anniversary stream going on?
Yeah, they were teasing like some big news about
No.
Metal Gear Rising for the anniversary.
Maybe so. So, Banjo-Kazooie. It got mostly across the board 9s. Like from all the big review sources that I saw. People really liked that they really felt like it built upon what Super Mario 64 already established. They really liked the utilization of the two characters. The level design and the puzzles were very creative. And at the time, the graphics were pretty dang gorgeous at the time. Like, it was pretty
I think
impressive.
Even Miyamoto was kind of jealous of what they had managed to pull off.
Yeah, and they used there was some like special tech that they used to do that, where they could like save memory somehow. I don't know. Also like Banjo and Kazooie have very different like textures than the overworld or whatever, and that's another way that they made the characters look really, I don't know, like stand out. People really like the music, and the biggest con that I saw was the camera.
Yeah, that's fair.
Are we shocked?
No.
No, we're not. We're not shocked. All right. It is time to discuss this game. All the pieces, the gameplay, the visuals, the audio, the controls and interface, the performance, and lastly, the story.
Are we gonna get into the development at all?
I wasn't planning on it, but if you want to share some stuff, go for it.
If you're not familiar with Project Dream, then I would recommend. I think Rare has some videos on it themselves, as well as Did You Know Gaming. But basically, this started off as a very, very ambitious Super Nintendo game called Dream, and it like if you look at what it was, it's completely different from what it is now. But that transition happened in pieces, and to kind of see that the way that happened, it's amazing that this game became what it was. So I would definitely recommend checking that out.
Okay. Were you aware of that, Mox? I did not know.
No.
So
it was going to be basically like your main character was like a guy with a sword, and it was going to be kind of an isometric view on Super Nintendo, like extremely graphically ambitious, and yeah. Anyways,
probably going to use that Super FX chip.
I don't know if it was going to use the Super FX chip. I think it was going to lean really heavy into their pre-rendered sprites that they were doing from Donkey Kong Country. But yeah.
So this is a 3D platformer collectathon. It has an overworld with 9 worlds. There's 10 jiggies in each world, including the overworld. 100 notes in each world, not including the overworld. 5 Jinjos in each world. The jiggies are used to unlock new levels. The notes are needed to unlock gates in the overworld. You have a variety of moves that you use to solve puzzles, platforming challenges, and you can be transformed into a variety of animals for other puzzles, which are very silly. And we can go over the levels, but before we jump in there, this kind of game, the 3D platformer collectathon, Mox, is this your type of game?
I suppose I'm not like I do like to I like when I'm rewarded for 100%ing something, but it has to be easy to do so. Like when there's a map that tells you where things are, that's nice. And this one kind of has that in that you can pause your screen, it'll tell you like what's left in the area that you're in, which I appreciate. And you can also see what other areas have stuff that's remaining, which I don't know if that's novel for this kind of game, but I really appreciated that. But it's hard if you're a kid and you don't know where you need to go.
Yeah. And I know when you were younger, you played the 64 version, right? I'm assuming.
Well, yes.
Yeah. And you played the Xbox version this time.
Yes.
Did it feel similar to how you remember it?
In that I imagine what it looks like to me on the Xbox is probably what it looked like to me playing on a CRT, growing up, yes. But the control, like, I'm pretty sure on the N64, you have to tap the yellow arrow buttons to move the camera around, whereas in this one, you can kind of just use your other dual stick. So that's nicer. And then I feel like the worlds felt smaller when I was a kid, and now they feel more expansive. I don't know if it's just a factor of me like experiencing different games between then and now, but like it feels like they've been made bigger and less claustrophobic, but also like it's harder to get from one end of the world to the next in the little remaster remake version than it was in the original. But that might just be my perception.
What about you, Austin? Gameplay and like how you remember it and stuff like that.
So I played the Xbox version as well, and I had originally played the N64 version, but never finished it on there. And this is like exactly how I want to play old N64 games. I just want like a resolution bump, widescreen, and my camera to work on the right stick. And they kind of made it work. It works better on the right stick. It's still not very good. And like you can't move the camera up and down. You can do it like in and out, but it's like pushing up is like a button press instead of like a gradual. And then the first person camera is inverted. I don't know why. I don't know why they're obsessed with making the first person camera inverted, because it's dreadful, but it is what it is. I think my biggest favorite change on this version was when you collect notes, they stay collected. You don't have to, like, if you go and die or leave or get a game over or whatever, like, you haven't lost your progress towards 100%ing that level. And that's really, really lovely. That makes especially some of the later levels a lot better to go through.
So in the 64 version, those would come back.
Basically
you have to get them all in one go.
Like, your note score is whatever you have collected in one go. So if you get 80 notes and then you leave or you get a game, I can't remember if you die or get a game over, but one of the two, then your note score for that level is 80 until you go back and collect more than 80 on a second run.
Wow.
And I never liked that. That always drove me nuts.
Ditto. That's half the reason I had us play Banjo-Tooie, because it's so hard not to do that, to have that feature.
Mm-hmm. Do you usually play, are you a big 3D platformer collectathon person?
I used to think that I was, and I think I think I just really like Banjo-Kazooie. Because, like, at some point I played that when I was in, like, I came back to it when I was in college and was just like, that was so good. I loved that so much. I want more games like that. And then that's kind of where I learned the term 3D collectathon.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, all the marketing started for
Hat in Time,
Ukulele and things like that, of like, oh, it's going back to the good old days of 3D collectathons. And it was just like, yeah. Like, I enjoy Mario games, 3D Mario games from, like, Wii onward.
Mm-hmm.
When I try to go back to, like, Mario 64, don't crucify me for this, but, like, I really don't have a wonderful time playing Mario 64. Like, I like it, and I appreciate a lot of the stuff that it did for the space, but also, I do not get the joy out of that as I do from, like, playing something like this.
And then that's our show, everybody, so thank you, everyone, for... No, that makes sense. I mean, okay, follow-up question. When's the last time you played, like, Sunshine?
I tried to play Sunshine in the 3D All-Stars collection, because, like, that, Mario 64 and Sunshine both got, like, really big on the internet, of like, oh, this was, like, the holy grail of Mario days.
Wait, did you play it when it came out?
I did. And I thought it was fine when I played it when it came out. But like, I didn't revere it. It was one of the few GameCube games that I sold after I was done with it. And when I came back, I was like, okay, well, let me give it another shot with fresh eyes and, like, see if I can appreciate what other people are enjoying. No, I don't. I don't. It's fine. It's fun enough. It's not like something that I want to play 100% like a Mario Galaxy or a Mario Odyssey or something like that. So, I don't know. It's just, I think what people like about the controls is exactly what I don't like about the game, which is that, like, I can't just kind of free flow the way I want to. I have to kind of play it. I have to do these not intuitive things to really, like, get into a flow. And it just doesn't feel good to me.
It's so funny because I love Sunshine, and I have not gotten into as much, although I do appreciate them, Galaxy and Odyssey. And I love Tooie. And you're like, no, I prefer Kazooie. And I definitely prefer Tooie over Kazooie. I just can't put my finger on what it is about Sunshine and Tooie that's different from Galaxy and Kazooie.
Yeah.
I think one thing I didn't like about Sunshine is it is too involved to do a lot of what you like, a lot of the shines in that game. And I don't like, I want to get everything. I want to get everything. When I play a game like that, I want to get everything. And when it becomes really frustrating to get a lot of the main objectives or even side objectives, it frustrates me. Like, it's like, okay, I'm not having fun getting everything, and I want it to be fun to go for all this stuff. Like the blue coins, a lot of the blue coins are just a real pain in the butt in Sunshine. There's a lot of, okay, do this kind of tricky platforming thing, and if you mess up, then you really have to go back, like, very far to try that again. Yeah.
Well, and as you're talking, I'm thinking what I don't like about Kazooie, which we'll get into in the next few minutes, is everything's so simple. You do one thing to get the jiggy, and that's it. Then you move on. But Tooie, you have to do like 12 things, and it's like a puzzle. I want to do puzzles. I mean, even when I played, Ocarina of Time growing up, I did the dungeons, and I made my dad play the bosses because I can't do the bosses because I want to do the puzzles.
I guess that is what I like about Kazooie. It's more, okay, you do a thing, you get the objective, and it's these little bite-sized tasks that I can just kind of whittle away at, versus something that I have to keep track of in my brain for a long time. Like, okay, well, I did this, and now they want me to do something else, and like it's like, okay, well, maybe I can't do that right now. I have to come back later and backtrack when I have the right move for this, or okay, I killed this boss. Oh, and he put the Jiggy in a room that's like 12 miles away. Why? Thank you, vacuum cleaner boss.
Gosh. Mox, do you have a favorite level in Banjo-Kazooie?
Yes.
Which one?
It's Click Clock Woods, because it is so complicated and so involved, and sometimes you have to go back to the different seasons to do something that will come up in a different season. Mm-hmm. And you have to unlock all 4 seasons to see the same level 4 times in 4 different kinds of ways.
And that level to me feels like a very much of a Tooie level.
Yes, that seems like that's where they were getting their ideas for, oh, we should do a lot more of this in our next game.
Well, and growing up, my friends, their favorite level was Click Clock Woods as well.
Or are they all fans of Banjo-Tooie, do you know?
Well, yes.
Birds of a feather.
I know.
And this is like super telling though, because Click Clock Wood is my least favorite level in Kazooie. Because you have to keep going to the same place in different ways, and like, okay,
and you want to do it all in one go.
I need to go backtrack to the other place and go do it there, and then I need to come back here, and let me climb this tree. Oh, I fell off. I need to reclimb all the way back up to get to try that spot again.
Imagine having to leave the level and not having gotten all of the notes. That was annoying.
Oh, seriously,
that was bad.
And it's like, of course you make it in Tooie so that your notes don't are forever collected. But I can't imagine. Oh gosh, who decided that? It's a high score kind of thing. Oh, high scores.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Austin, did you have a favorite level?
Oh man, I think the tutorial level for this, like Mumbo's Mountain, is just like a perfect tutorial level.
It's not a tutorial level. The tutorial level is Spiral Mountain.
Actually,
the first real level that you get into.
It's a level. It's not a tutorial.
I mean, it's the here's how a level works level.
Gosh.
And it teaches you, like, you learn how to explore the level and like how to go get all the notes and do all the things. And your first time through, it's not like, it doesn't take a long time. It might take like 30 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. And once you know it, you could do it really fast. You do.
Why would you want to do it again? Go to the next level.
No, I'm talking about when you replay the game.
Just like replaying the game.
Like
Why?
when I played it this time, I went through it really fast, and it was like very satisfying to just be like, okay, I go here, grab the thing, do the thing, grab the notes, get the Jiggy, get the honeycomb. All right, and I'm out. Boom. And that was just like, oh, great. That felt really cool to just kind of. It wasn't like not a speed run per se, but just kind of go through it fast. Not my favorite level, but I think it's a great intro level. Maybe my favorite level in terms of like theming would be Freezeezy Peak.
Oh, yep.
And I think my favorite, like, just level over, like, it's got a great hub world. This is one of my favorite hub worlds in a game. I think this, like, that maybe that's cheating saying that's my favorite level, but like the hub world.
That doesn't cheat. That's not cheating.
I very much enjoyed spending time in there, and exploring and kind of finding little secrets there. I think it's a very well put together hub world.
Tyler, what was your favorite level?
My favorite level was, I've been thinking a lot about it. I do like the Freezeezy Peak because I like snow levels just in general, but I was a big fan of Mad Monster Mansion.
Can't believe it.
I know. It is. I like all the little secrets, and I like the big scary mansion, and I was a really big fan of the Boo's haunted house or whatever, haunted mansion in Super Mario 64. Yeah, I know.
That was so spooky.
There's not many of us. There's not many of us. Yeah, I really liked. I would get jump scare from the piano in Super Mario 64 all the time. Like, oh no, is it gonna bite at me? Yep.
In your intro, you said that Mumbo turns you into animals, but that is not strictly true. Now, is it?
Well, he does on occasion change you into a washing machine.
He changes you in Mad Monster Mansion. You're a pumpkin.
Oh, a pumpkin. That's true. That's
That's not an animal.
That's true. Pumpkin is not an animal.
Right.
That's true.
No.
But anything's an animal if you believe.
I think the bee transformation might be the worst one in Click Clock Wood.
You can fly!
I know, in one season. And then if you try to take it anywhere else, then they're like, no, sorry. Oh, and also Mumbo's on vacation. I hope you didn't trek all the way over to his skull. Oh, and the stuff you're supposed to use the bee for, the Venus flytraps. Yeah, you just deal with it.
that is frustrating in that level specifically because
oh, cool. There's one way up high, and it's got notes that you need, or one has a jiggy, I think. Oh, yeah. I hope you have enough golden feathers to spend 10 seconds trying to backflip into it, and then you get caught on its edge, so you can't get in. Oh, I hate them.
All right. Moving on to the...
Sorry.
It's okay. Moving on. Everyone will have time to say their piece at the end, per usual. The visuals of this game. So, like I mentioned before, they did some really clever tricks to make the visuals look really good. And I feel like even today, playing it like on the 360 version, it's really nice. And I think... I don't feel, and I know this is like kind of cheating because I only played the 360 version, but some Nintendo 64 PS1 games, when you play them today, you're kind of just like, what in the world? Like it can kind of, because it's early 3D, a lot of it. And so they were trying really hard to do like really cool things, and it was difficult because it's early 3D. And so some of them didn't turn out that great. Like
PS1 is especially rough to go back to these days, just because N64 had very particular attention paid to, like, I forget how to put it. There's a very high accuracy, like, in the way the pixels are rendered versus PS1. It's like things that are further away.
Well,
anyways,
I know that the PS1 can't do floating point math. I'm pretty sure. I believe. And the 64 requires floating point math, and that has to do with like how it has to do something with rendering and stuff. But that's all I know. Someone in the comments tell us. It's been
too long since I've paid attention to the differences.
Yeah, Mox, would you consider this game pretty?
Like I said earlier, it looks exactly as I remember, but it looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm comparing it to Psychonauts, which was some amount of years later, but Psychonauts seemed blurry as you played it. And again, compared to like with the remake on the Xbox version, which is apparently really the only way to play it, if we're being honest, at this time of life. It looked amazing. It was perfect. There was never any glitches. I can't even think of when I was playing it as a kid where there like times where something seemed out of place, like there was some, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, like geometry errors or anything. I can't think of anything. It looks great.
Yeah, I agree. It looks really pretty. Austin, would you agree? It's a pretty game?
Yeah, I think it's aged very well. As far as I can tell, I don't think they updated textures. Maybe they did. They updated like the note sprites and things like that. Like the basically the stuff that's supposed to look 3D, but it's just a 2D image. I think they upscaled those, or maybe used the original assets like of what they had made at the time. But like wall and floor textures and stuff like that, I don't think that they did anything new with those.
Really?
And as far as I can tell, it's just a resolution bump.
Oh.
And if that's the case, then I think it's aged very well. And if it's not the case, then they did it in a way that it looks just like it did, like you said, when you were playing as a kid. I think this is a great example of a remaster.
Oh yeah.
I think what helps is that like the theme, the story. I'm sorry, not the story. Just how it looks is like simplistic and blocky, and everybody is in that same style, and so it looks consistent.
Yeah.
No matter what time of time we're playing.
That's a good call out. It's very consistent style. Now, moving on to the audio, this is the one and only Grant Kirkhope here.
We love Grant Kirkhope.
He's amazing. This is the first time that he wrote all the music for something.
What?
So it was just him. So like GoldenEye, a lot of people are like, "Oh, Grant Kirkhope, he did GoldenEye." He did, but he also had a lot of people help him. This is the first time that like it's mainly credited to him. He was inspired by the Beetlejuice soundtrack from Danny Elfman.
Amazing.
And what another little fun fact about him is he was the voice actor of Mumbo Jumbo, the Jinjo, and the Jinjonator. It's all him as well. One thing we can talk about the music, but one thing I do want to say is I love the fading in and out of the songs in this game. I feel like
between like the different versions of the track,
like
going underwater and things like that. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And in the overworld, when you're walking around, they like absolutely nailed it. I don't know what it is.
That's in Tooie as well.
It is in Tooie as well.
Just saying.
It is. But wow, it is pretty dang phenomenal. Can you imagine if like Super Mario 64 would have done something like that? Or I don't know. I'm sure there's been other 3D platformers that have tried, but it is very good in this. It just feels when you're in the overworld and you're walking to a new level, you're just like getting prepped for that level with the music already playing. It's just such a great feeling. Mox.
So you mentioned Super Mario 64, just real quick. What I learned the other day, this was totally mind-blowing to me.
Let's hear it.
So like the music in Jolly Roger Bay and Dire Dire Docks, there are 2 versions of that track. And it just like seamlessly goes into the other version of the track. And I never knew. I thought it was just a timing thing. But I think it's when you get in the water. That's when it changes to the other version of the track. And it just like, I thought it was just that was the timing of it. Because I always jump in. I can never stay out of the water for that long. But yeah.
Wow.
That was a little thing in Mario 64. I never knew.
Today I learned. Mox,
now,
were you a fan of the music?
I was going to say I can kind of conjure up some semblance of either of those tracks, but there's so many tracks between Kazooie and Tooie that I could like hum a few bars of because they're so recognizable. I'm not going to do that to you guys though.
Aw. Boo.
The best song is Click Clock Woods. It's the best one. There's 4 different versions of it, and then the lobby, and then the lobby. There's like 6 songs you get there.
Yeah. This, like, all of this, it was just such a delight going into every world and being like, ooh, what's the song going to be like for this world? It was just so great. Austin, big fan of the music?
Yes. Yeah, this was a great soundtrack.
Yeah. Mox, I'm going to ask you, would you listen to this on your own?
I do.
You do already?
Yeah, same with Tooie.
Okay. And Austin, same question?
I thought so I own this on vinyl.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about this a little bit, but
yeah, I kind of regret it's like a 4 LP. And a lot of it is like the variations of the songs. So you'll hear a lot of the same songs. Like I wish they'd kind of just taken like, for example, the hub world music and be like, okay, well here's the main part of the song, and now we're going to fade into this part of the song, and then we'll fade into this part of the song, and
right,
just kind of like in the game. But they give you the whole track individually in each style, and I think that was a mistake. So that kind of killed my enjoyment of listening to it as a whole album. But
no, the song belongs in a playlist, and it's funny that you mention how songs fade in because in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, the credits theme has like an orchestrated version of a lot of themes from Kazooie and I think some from Tooie, but it's mostly Kazooie or it's only Kazooie, and it fades in between them. And so I highly recommend you listen to the credit song of Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
So this game got more than one game in the series. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
All right.
Oh,
but
there's also a DS one, I think.
It was GBA, but yeah.
Who knows?
But it is. So, Mox, you bring up Nuts and Bolts credits. Does that mean that you've beaten Nuts and Bolts before?
No, that's an Xbox game. I've
just listened to
watched it being played.
Okay.
And I've listened to the entire soundtrack, which I also have in my like master playlist of amazing songs, along with Kazooie and Tooie.
I would love to be shared on that playlist at some point.
Oh, It's literally 1,000 songs, which is the max limit that Google Play Music would let you have.
Yeah.
But then when it switched to YouTube Music, I had to make it again, and they don't do shuffle very well. It only shuffles the local 250 songs.
Yeah,
Ugh, so I
awful.
cannot. But it's still good.
Absolutely awful. All right, moving on to the controls and interface of this game. I think we already touched a little bit on this, but the camera can be a bit rough. I have one thing to add to the camera, which is swimming for me, and this game is very difficult.
I thought it was just
if
me.
you pass something up, it's not so hard to turn around.
It is insanely difficult, and gosh, some of the swimming stuff is just like unfair.
Yeah.
Like how it is.
Why is it inverted controls again?
I don't know.
Because they do everything backwards over there. They may as well have made this in Australia.
Apparently.
Gosh. But Mox, you already touched a little bit on the interface as far as the menu system goes and them telling you whether or not you're missing something in a level. And I think that was a good call out because that is a really nice quality of life feature for this game.
Mm-hmm.
But do we have anything else to say besides the camera and the swimming?
I was frequently accidentally using my golden feathers while I was trying to crouch, and I think I would be trying to crouch and then get into like the chicken walking style, but I would also be trying to move the camera
the trot
while I was doing that, and I would accidentally activate that. It was just like, cool, I just wasted a golden feather, thank you.
With the controls, I also struggled in areas that don't have flying when I've forgotten something. And you have to go all the way to the back. Like, this happened in Bubble Swamp.
Yep.
Where I was not sure where, I think it was either looking for the last Jinjo or the last Jiggy. I can't remember. And I had no idea where it was. And I looked through the whole level as Banjo, and I'm like, okay, I have to be a crocodile, which then you have to go through this stupid maze.
Yep.
And then I was like, maybe it's in the maze. So I went through the maze as the crocodile, and then I went through the whole rest of the level as the crocodile. I couldn't find it. I had to Google it.
Yeah, having to backtrack to become an animal. Like, I think the way becoming an animal works in this is probably one of the worst parts about it, because go find Mumbo, become the animal, go do whatever you need to do, and oh crap, I need to be Banjo to open this, and then I have to come back. As the animal. So you gotta backtrack twice, and it's just like, oh god.
Still not as much backtracking as Tooie, though. At least from what I remember.
Because then you had to do that in Tooie on top of, oh, I split Banjo and Kazooie. Now I have to get back to the split pad to get them back together again.
Well,
crap.
It's funny because to me, there was less backtracking in Tooie because you are meant to. So it wasn't as frustrating because things weren't as far. But Kazooie is basically like, you like crossing their arms at me saying, I can't believe you forgot to do this.
Tooie's levels were so gigantic. The backtracking was so much worse.
But there was a lot of space that was made to be backtracked across.
Because like it was built with intent. A
feature
basically.
Doesn't mean it's a good feature.
Okay, I'm telling you that if it was made to be backtracked across, then it was less frustrating.
Yeah.
Where if I forgot that I need to be the crocodile at the front of Bubble Gloop Swamp, and I'm at the front of Bubble Gloop Swamp as Banjo, I have to go all the way to the back, turn into a crocodile, come all the way to the front, and then I have to go all the way to the back again to be Banjo, so I can then go finish it as, Banjo and not as the crocodile. That is dumb.
I feel like I had the same complaints about Tooie, though. Like, maybe I'm missing something, but it feels like that was the same kind of deal in Tooie.
I guess what was more rewarding with Tooie is that I could get things done in between that, whereas in Kazooie, like, it feels like I'm doing this for one thing. But
that's like, a fair call
in
out.
Tooie, there was like multiple stuff that I'm like, oh, I have to backtrack. Well, I can get this along the way. But in this game, so often, as long as there weren't flying pads, because when there were flying pads, like for example, all of the levels that have flying, like for ZZ Peaks, for example, it's so easy to get between when you learn that chargy to get where you need to go.
Yeah. Moving on to performance, everyone here played the Xbox 360 version. I don't think, like, I didn't run into any issues at all besides the camera stuff, but like as far as like bugs and things like that go, I didn't run into any issues besides the camera stuff. Is that the same for everybody?
Just go ahead.
I was going to say, no issues. The camera worked nicely. I mean, I'm comparing it to when you had to tap the yellow, buttons on the N64 to move it around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a godsend. Sorry, Austin, go ahead.
I will say my first time playing this on 360, there's a really nasty bug associated with the new fact that you can collect notes permanently. Supposedly this has been patched. But it was like for a particular version of the game, like if you got it in a certain way, and like the patch had supposedly happened before I ended up. It was like if you got I think if you bought Nuts and Bolts, then you got this for free. And if you got that version, I think that one was patched, but not like the one that you can just generally buy. So it was supposedly patched when I bought the game and played it, and I still ran into the bug. So
we should call it out.
Don't test it. Don't try and find out if it's still a bug or not. But basically, I think it's if you go into Banjo's house,
correct.
You can go look up at above the fireplace, and there's you could do jigsaw puzzles, and they're moving pictures that show gameplay. And in one of the puzzles, Banjo goes and collects some notes if you haven't gotten them already, and if he does that, they don't get added to your note counter, and they get removed from the game permanently, so you can't get 100% of the notes. You can still get all the rewards, because like nothing requires you to have 100 jiggies or all 900 notes. It's just like really close to that. But if you're trying to get all the achievements and like truly 100% the game, it's really frustrating, because then you've done your whole playthrough and go, why can't I find these 4 notes?
And that is why.
And that's why.
So bizarre.
If you go do those puzzles, do it after you've gotten everything, because I think the 4 notes that you collect that are missing are also like they're in Click Clock Wood on top of that. So it's like the end of the game that you find out that you're missing those notes. Anyways, I still welcome the change that they made to make those notes permanently collectible.
But it's a fair call out.
That was very frustrating.
It's a fair call out.
Other than that, everything worked very, very smoothly for me.
Yeah.
Those puzzles are for Cheeto pages, which apparently if you use and it's for entering codes in Treasure Trove Cove on the floor with all of the letters. If you do that, you can't save ever again. And it's like you have to reset the whole entire thing if you decide to use a cheat code. And those cheat codes don't do much. There are some that will give you like unlimited red feathers or whatever, but other ones will like make Banjo's head twice as large. And the fact like you're not allowed to enjoy the game like that.
Aww.
You have to quit and just enjoy it for a little bit and then go back into the game to make it safe.
I was reading something about those cheats, and one of them is to like give yourself full like max health. So like you can get honeycombs to increase your max health, and if you do that after you get red health, which is like from doing the getting everything, like that's one of the rewards you get, then it reverses it. And what I was reading was you can never unreverse that again.
Oh my gosh.
So
okay. Another bug. Jeez. All right. We're going to move on to the story, which isn't really the story. We're just going to talk about the end of the game, really. So I'm going to put that spoilers tag because it is a spoiler if you don't know. How this game ends. So now is your chance to turn this off until you beat the game or be spoiled. So how about that board game, y'all?
God, so stupid. So stupid.
Mox?
So dumb.
Mox, I loved the board game.
I love it.
No.
Why do you hate it?
Oh, you didn't go talk to Glentilda everywhere and write down all of her answers? Well,
okay, Austin, that's a fair call out, but they're not all the spaces are based around her knowledge though either.
No, not all of them are, but you have to deal with them at some point, and like the death squares can have her questions.
That's true. Because it's random.
Which just knock you. You spent all this time getting right to the end. I went to the path that had 3 death squares. Got to the 3rd one. They were like, "Well, here's a question about Glentilda." Ha! Now I was so enraged every time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What you can do though is you can get those like little extra lives, or like I forget what they are exactly. The jokers.
That means spending more time on the stupid board game.
I loved it. Mox,
I hate it.
back
It is
me up here.
It's just like in the middle of this great platforming game, all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know what? What if we just stopped having fun and did something completely different that's really annoying? And I hope you've been writing down all this stuff the whole time.
Mox.
So little kid Mox definitely wrote down every Glentilda answer, because when you die, when I died, the first time, and it was like, oh, you must know these answers. Well, what did I do? I left, went and learned them all, and came back. I remember that. But then now, maybe on my second playthrough, you can Google it, and they're like, oh, was one of the answers this? Then all of the answers are these. And so what I do now is just talk to her everywhere, hope I remember at least one of the answers, and then I can just Google it, because that's the way you do it now. Get your gamefacts.com and go look it up.
I'll have you know, I did the whole board game without Googling anything. Because I
missed out on using GameFAQs.
Because I love talking to Glentilda.
Anytime I would go down a path, like a weird path, like, oh, there's gonna be a secret over here.
Nope.
Oh, it's just Glentilda.
The music is so cute, though.
I know, it's great.
Yes, yeah. But she hates her sister, which is I have a sister, and I don't hate her, but it makes me laugh.
Also, the end boss, after you do the board game, right? You get to fight Gruntilda, and that fight is insanely difficult. I spent 2 hours just hitting my head against the wall trying to beat it. It's borderline unfair, a lot of it, I think. There's a lot of stuff that is just going to hit you no matter what, so you have to use the golden feathers, and even if you have full feathers, it's still very difficult. And then the Ginginator shows up, which is this big statue of Jinjos, and you have to put eggs in them, and that is also very difficult because of how the aiming with the eggs works and stuff like that. And it has flying, and I was really bad at flying in this game. Really bad.
A shame.
So to me, I was very, very, very... Oh, and I forgot to mention this. And there's... Okay, one of the things that she does is she shoots these little balls of fire at you or whatever, these little explosions.
Do you want to explain who we're fighting?
I said Gruntilda.
Okay.
Yeah. I said that at the beginning. Anyway, so you can hide behind these little barriers because you're on this this round area, and it has these little barriers on the outsides, and you can hide behind them to try to avoid getting hit by these fireballs. But if you get hit, oh no, Banjo and Kazooie just decide, instead of jumping backwards, I'm just gonna fall off the level instead. And sorry, you have to restart. And that was extremely frustrating. So that's all I'll say about the story in the end. Does anyone else have anything they want to add? Mox, did you get to Gruntilda at the end when you first played it?
My dad beat that boss, and so I didn't beat it.
Props to your dad.
Because my dad beats that boss. He beats all the bosses.
Props to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
Austin, do you remember that boss? Yeah,
and I definitely understand your frustrations, especially trying to aim the eggs into the Ginginator statues while you're dealing with all the chaos of everything else.
Yeah.
100%. That was so. There are a handful of things that I like more in Tooie.
I was going to ask
than Kazooie,
Mm-hmm.
and the being able to aim your eggs in first person.
Yep.
While I don't like the first person mode very much in that game overall, being able to aim your eggs is a really nice feature.
Oh yeah.
What about the trivia? Did you like that better?
The quiz is I like the quiz a lot more in Tooie. I think it's a lot more fair and a lot less frustrating.
Disagree.
Well, I mean, it's okay to be wrong.
I like them both.
And I think the grunty fight in Tooie is that's just a really good fight. It does a lot of very interesting things, and I think it ends up being more fun than what you do in here. I don't hate this fight, but I think that is a really good fight in Tooie.
Mox, can I ask you, as a resident lore master, can I ask you a lore question or something? I don't know if you'll know this, but I have this memory that I want to ask you about. So, in Tooie, her sisters are helping her, right? They're part of the story, and Gruntilda's sisters aren't they?
Okay.
Aren't they helping her in some way?
I thought they were just visiting.
Oh, just visiting.
But they were the other people in the. She's dead.
They resurrect her.
They resurrect her, right? Okay. And is Glentilda one of the ones who resurrects her?
I don't think so.
Okay.
She's She doesn't like Grunty.
Okay, I didn't know if she had a change of heart in Tooie. I don't
No.
remember.
I
Okay.
don't remember if those two were friends or sisters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't know. All right. Anything spoilery, Mox, you want to talk about before we go into our personal takes?
There's so little that's spoilery. Like,
I know.
I don't know.
Besides the board game.
Anytime you save and quit from the game, they show you what, the ending will be.
I did like that.
That is, yeah. All right. Moving on. No more spoilers. Personal takes. Let's start with Austin.
So, I playing through this time, I have realized something. I really love the first half of this game, and in the second half, it slowly starts to just like tick me off until I get to click clock wood, and then I'm like, I don't know if I want 100% this anymore. In fact, this time I didn't. I ended up skipping 2 jiggies and some of the notes because I was just like, I have enough to 100% like unlock all the doors, and I'm not dealing with this anymore. I'm leaving. And then I got to the quiz, and I was just I was like, the quiz isn't that bad. I always remember hating it, but like it's not that bad. Especially this time. Like I've done it so many times. It'll be fine. And I hate that quiz. I hate the quiz show. It makes me so mad.
You mean the board game or the quiz show?
I consider it to be both. It's a board game, but it's a quiz. Like whatever you want to call it. I hate it. It makes me mad, and I really don't like it. I think on future playthroughs, whenever I play through this again, I'm probably just gonna stop after Freeze Easy Peak and be like, yeah, what a great game.
Wow.
But in general, I think the controls are really good outside of the camera. Like, all the moves are... I remember struggling to do some of the moves on N64, but playing it now, like, everything feels very intuitive. It's nice to just, like, chicken walk everywhere and be like, I'm fast, woo! The levels are themed really well. Let's see. The swimming's not very good, and, like, that was even more... I don't know if it's ever been as apparent to me as it has this time. Like, the swimming is bad, but thankfully there's not a whole lot of swimming in the game.
There's certainly enough. There's enough swimming.
Some of the timed puzzles are really, really tight.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you have to use the speed shoes.
Yep.
Like, okay, hope you take shortcuts and don't get caught on anything, otherwise you're not getting in. But in general, like, so comparing Kazooie and Tooie, I like the bite-sized nature of the objectives. I really love the hub world. I love that Grunty rhymes all of her words. She's a great antagonist in this one. I didn't really enjoy her as much in Tooie, just because she didn't feel as fun in Tooie. You know what I mean?
She's like an evil overlord watching the security cameras in Kazooie, which is a lot more fun.
Yeah, and she just like makes fun of you, but like it's always in a rhyme. That's just, it's like, okay, all right, I'm coming to get you, but we're gonna have our fun. Yeah, this is probably it's not the least enjoyable playthrough I've had of Kazooie, but it's the least I've enjoyed it playing it on Xbox. And I still had a great time, like, especially in the first half, like, oh my gosh, it's really good. And I think making that connection after having played Tooie now, I can see why I like the later half not as much, especially getting to Click Clock Wood. That was the hints of what was coming. I really love that they actually brought back the stop and swap mechanic in this version. If you're not familiar with that, it was a feature that was cut from the N64 version. It was very mysterious. Everyone was like, what was this going to be? What's the ice key for? I don't know. And we actually got to, like, I don't think it was as fleshed out as what it was going to be, but it was still cool to see that brought in. Overall, I would say great music, great upscaling of an old classic, and great quality of life features, even if one of them's kind of bugged. I would give this like an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10. Nice. Mox?
I like this game, and I have good memories of it. I would give it, I can't remember the score I gave Tooie, but I'd give it the same score. Because the things that made Tooie frustrating, there are different ones in this game that still are equally frustrating. In that, like, it punishes you if you don't do everything in the order that you're kind of like meant to do it, from the beginning of the level to the back of the level, and then if any backtracking is needed. And it's frustrating to, like, not to be perfect and then be like really punished for it in terms of how much extra time you have to spend. Whereas I feel like with Tooie, because everything was a lot more complicated, like I'm thinking of Witchy World, where you have to get the fries and the hamburger. And it's like, I have that in the back of my mind that I need to get both of these things. And I can carry them both in my inventory, which there is none, but you have them and you know that you have them. And so I'm thinking, okay, I'm looking for those food items. But then I'm like, oh, but I want to go back, and do this area with the Western area. And then they're like, okay, well, you need this thing to come back here. And I think, okay, I'll remember that. And I'll go back to this other area. Anyway, the levels felt more, I don't know, rewarding for doing things in a different order. But in this game, it was like, do it this, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to do that, and then you're going to turn into an animal, and then you're going to finish the level, leave the level as an animal, go do that thing. And so when you turn back into Banjo, it's convenient wherever you are. And it's like, oh, I forgot to do this thing as an animal, and then I left, and now I have to come all the way back in, go turn into an animal, then go back, turn into a Banjo.
Yeah.
It's just like, so frustrating for those little things. But overall, the game is excellent. It's an excellent game. And I had a lot of good memories from it when I was a kid. And I really appreciate the remaster, remake, whatever. It looks gorgeous. And I feel like people, spend a lot of time making it look nice. And although there's that one glitch, nobody needs Cheeto pages. And
yeah.
I can't remember what score I gave it.
It's all right.
Tooie.
Same as Tooie.
I'm gonna say, yes.
Whatever Tooie was, that's what Mox is giving this.
Yes, and we love Grant Kirkhope.
Yes, we do.
I forgot to mention, speaking of Grant Kirkhope, the mumble voices are just like perfect.
Yes.
They're perfect in this.
Yes, they are. So my expectations were pretty low because we played Banjo-Tooie and I wasn't really a fan. So I thought maybe I was, rose tinted glasses, all that.
Wait, did you play this when you were a kid or no?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, keep going.
And I started playing this game a bit early because it was kind of already ahead of the vote, and I was playing it during like a period of when I was like griefing and mourning, and it was a really good comfort food game for me. Like it brought back a lot of like little things from my childhood all of a sudden, like really like warm feelings, which was really nice. And I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this level, and oh yeah, I remember this little thing. But I've only probably played through this game maybe one time, and I don't think I fully beat it whenever I played it through, because I think we didn't own it, so we rented it a few times.
Oh gosh, renting games.
But yeah, the good old days. But I 100%ed the game, and I loved almost every minute of it. I did not like the boss at the end, which I already talked about, because it was super difficult and very frustrating. And the camera, when you were swimming, was awful, and the camera in general had they did some cheeky stuff where they would hide stuff out of view of the camera and force you to use the first person, and I hated that. But I think overall for me this game was great, and I would recommend, if you're a 3D platformer person and you haven't played this, to play this version of it, the 360 version, if you can.
Well, and like only this version. I don't know. Could you recommend the N64 version? I don't think I could.
Probably not, yeah. But I would give this an 8 out of 10, and I thought it was really great. And yeah, I'm glad that we got to play it, because I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to reinstall Banjo-Tooie, even though I know that it was very frustrating, and see if it's like different having played this game in some way. Because maybe there's some language that Banjo-Kazooie is different, like how it's different than Mario, and maybe now I understand that language more. I don't know.
I think you will find that you hate Banjo-Tooie more after having played this.
Could be. Could be.
Hard disagree.
Okay, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. What about Hat in Time? What will I think about that game? God. All right.
We already played that.
I know.
Well, going back to
going back. That's what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah. All right.
context.
Yes, and that was a little dive in our take on Banjo-Kazooie. We stand Grant Kirkhope.
We love him so much.
Yes, we do.
Stand him hard.
Yes. If you enjoyed hearing us discuss and want to join us for the next Video Game Club episode, stay put, because the vote just ended, and it was between, and these are all nominations from Discord.
From viewers like you.
From viewers and listeners like you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Doki Doki Literature Club, Kirby, Planet Robobot, and Gravity Rush. And the winner is Kirby Planet Robobot.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone who voted. Thank you, everyone, for listening, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, podcast service, whatever. We really appreciate it. Our next episode will be live on Twitch March 5th at 2 o'clock Eastern, sometime in your time zone that's not Eastern. If you can't make the live session, don't worry. Like I said, you can find on YouTube, all major podcast services. Austin, thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Mox, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Andron, for working behind the scenes, making all this possible. I'm Tyler. This was Video Game Club episode 65. We were so close to doing a 64 game in 64.
That's okay.
Episode 65, Banjo-Kazooie, and we're out.